Okay, I'm the one here. So um, basically, I wanted to have a call, an open discussion about the future of Newfoundland and Labrador. And excuse me. Yeah, so I wanted to have a discussion, bring some people in, see where we want to go with things. Uh, Personally, there's a lot of issues in Newfoundland that needs to be resolved. Our politicians are not doing their jobs. Uh, and us as civilians, or what we call beneficiaries, are not benefiting from what's happening within our government. Um, there's so many things that people need to know. First of all, they are our employees. They are hired as trustees. We are to trust them, but we cannot. We are the beneficiaries. We are supposed to benefit from what our province can create, but we are not. Uh, there's basically a few families that have been running this province since before Confederation, and they continue to run this province. And as we can see, it's just pure greed and corruption. Um, Newfoundland's basically in the last 10 years has a GDP of over $30 billion. So in the last 10 years, we created, $400 million, $1 billion. And where do we see that in Newfoundland? The money is taken out of our province. It's not spent here. It goes to the corporations and to these elitists. And it's time for things to change. They destroyed our fishery. They destroyed our culture. They destroyed our traditions. They destroyed our sustainability. Uh, Here in Newfoundland, we used to have almost 80, 90% food sustainability. Now we're down to 2 or 3. Government will say that it's 10%. They just last year they released 94,000 hectares of land for agricultural development, and they said that they're going to double food sustainability in Newfoundland in 5 years. Well, they got 4 more years to do that. They are not going to do that. They don't even have anything in place to do that. But I have ideas of how we can actually support all of our province, produce more food than what we need, and ship it off the island where we can make actual money. And if we did grow our own food here, we would save $1 billion and keep it in the province instead of going to Sobeys, who also makes $30 billion a year out of 1,400 stores. So we have one corporation that makes as much as the whole province of Newfoundland. And you look at the shareholders in that company, they're quite well, uh, doing much better than the so-called average income of $64,000 in Canada. Uh, and Newfoundland is even less, and maybe lucky to get 30,000. And with 20% unemployment in Newfoundland, these are the numbers. Okay, we have 18 to 20% of the population are seniors, 65 and older. We have 18 to 20% of the population are children, grade 12 and less. We have 20% unemployment. So we have 60% of the population that really doesn't contribute to Newfoundland with regards to taxes from income. So the other 40% of the population, uh, you know, that has to support Newfoundland basically, because we're not getting the taxes from the corporations. Now, back in the 1800s, we had what was called a national policy, and that had been in place until the 1950s when the Liberal government took it out. And through that entire time, it was manufacturers that basically paid and built Canada. And now, because of the greed of the corporations getting their lawyers to draft up all of these acts and legislations, and then it's passed by their buddies in government, and now basically corporations pay anywhere from 5 to 14% of tax. Meanwhile, the individual uh, has to pay up to almost 53.5%, depending on how much income you make. Now, who the hell wants to pay more than what they make to government that doesn't supply us with anything? Our roads are deplorable. Our hospitals are not fit to be in. Uh, it's like we can't help people. We can't. The food banks, you know. Here in our local food bank in Bay Vert, basically they'll give you a bottle of coffee 1 month, and then the next month they'll give you a bag of sugar. Now before that, they used to take a bottle of coffee or a bag of sugar or a bag of flour and divide it up and put it in little baggies. And that's what people at food banks were getting. So you get enough coffee for maybe 20 cups of coffee, enough sugar for 10 cups of coffee, and enough flour to make maybe 4 tea biscuits for a whole month. So this is what our government is doing for the lowest people in our province. So we need to find solutions. There's many solutions. There's many problems. And the people in power are not looking for solutions. They're only looking for ways that they can build up their own personal wealth. And I know of politicians, ex-MHAs, that were working on these mega projects like the Muskrat Falls. And conflict of interest is basically they got on positions in boards of these companies that they brought over from overseas to build this project. So it's a complete conflict of interest. I've been talking to the Auditor General, to the citizen representative, and none of these groups are even open to listening. I mean, I called the consumer, the citizen's representative, and he had no complaints about Muskrat Falls. And if there is a complaint and it's over a year, they will not look at it. It's like crazy. So the lawyers make up all these laws. The government passes them. Out of I think it was 150,000 lawyers we have in Canada, and only 50% of them work for the justice system. The rest of them are working for corporations. So they're making up these rules, passing them so that it better suits the corporations and not the people. And we can all see that. You know, we can see the people that are in government. These are all mostly business people setting up things for themselves, and it's continually been that way for a long, long time. And these guys are just puppets. They're not the ones who control everything. There's a bigger entity above the politicians that's driving these things. So people first need to realize that this is happening and why it's happening. And yeah, so I've done a lot of research. I mean, it's all my own self-education, really, because you're not going to find this stuff in the schooling education. That's another system that was set up to keep the people as sheep, follow their programs, don't have a mind of your own. Excuse me. So we got to use their system to beat them. So the only way to beat them is to use their system, and then once we're in power, then we can correct all the mistakes, and then we can investigate all the boards and agencies that have been ripping Newfoundland off, like the FFAW, like the Labor Board, Workplace Health and Safety, Workers' Comp, the PUB, NALCOR, the Auditor General's Office, the Citizens Representative's Office. Even the Supreme Court of Newfoundland has been said that is a failure. The Supreme Court of Canada has said the justice system in Newfoundland is basically a joke. We had the Hickman's case, 10 or 12 years in court, being delayed just so that these guys can get off from the $100 million that they stole. So, you know, it's just a buddy-buddy system, and it's over. You know, we all know about it, so now it's up to the people. So how do we go about it? So we got an election coming up in 2019. We have a chance now to get independents representatives in the House of Assembly. We have 40 positions. So if we can get 40 people to run into 40 districts, so basically it costs $200 for you to sign up. You get your 10 or 100 members to back you, and then you're able to run in any by-election or election in 2019. So this is where we fight. You're looking for a fighting Newfoundlander? Well, how about we all become fighting Newfoundlanders? And we stand up to this greed and corruption that's happening within our province, within the government house. I mean, we had the PCs that basically destroyed us, saying that they used the least cost option for power. BS, because the least cost option would have been solar or wind or smaller micro dams. The amount of money and the amount of time that is taken to build this small little dam, Muskrat Falls, across a little riverbank is insane. You know, all these guys can do is blast rock and move dirt. They didn't want to put in wind power systems because they knew they wouldn't make as much wealth from it. So when I hear on CBC News, a company from Alberta who put in a solar array system for approximately 600 homes, and they can install that for $2 million. So what that means really is that we could have had basically 336 of these 363 of these solar array systems across Newfoundland, and it would only cost us $2 billion. Now, me personally, the government could have gave each and every single homeowner anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000, and we could have had a system put onto our homes. So it didn't matter if the power pole blew up outside. You would have still had power. Everyone would have had it. But because of greed and corruption and not looking out for the best of the people's interests, government decided that they were going to build this $15 billion mega project. They still don't have one customer to buy the energy. We're still questioning the North Spur if that's going to hold. Then there's the contamination of middle mercury, and then the possibility of a flood. And we just seen a dam break down south due to all the rain that we got recently. So, you know, it's not the least cost option. It's not the safest option. It was an option for greedfulness. And they're caught. They've been caught for a while, and now they're backtracking, trying to save their own asses. But it's not going to work. We had people protesting outside of Nalcor, and in 1 week, there were 7 shredder trucks, like 3-ton shredder trucks, coming and leaving Nalcor. Now, I don't know how much paper those guys are shredding, but to have basically a truck, 1 or 2 trucks a day coming from that facility, destroying papers possibly. I mean, I can't say that it is. I'm not there. But I mean, it's odd. It's very odd. So, you know, eventually what's going to happen, we're going to, and this piece of paper that came out just recently that was apparently came from 2013 talking about it not being feasible for Muskrat Falls, and apparently nobody's seen the letter. Well, we got to basically do an audit on Nalcor. Financial audit, a full, I would say a royal review audit, but the royal reviews commissions don't work. The last one we had is Our Place in Canada, was head by John Crosbie, and what happened to that? Nothing. I even asked Paddy Daly about it the other day, and he doesn't even know about it. So I read the actual thing, and the thing that I picked up from it was regards to our terms of union. And in the terms of union, basically, Canada was supposed to provide and maintain a ferry service. They are not maintaining it. We, the people, are paying for it with the high rates that they charge to get off the island of Newfoundland to get to the mainland. Personally, I think we should follow Danny Dumaris and build a tunnel, but use Hyperloop and put a track right across Newfoundland. This is the future. So hopefully we can do that. And Danny, if you didn't call those guys, please do. I've been sending messages for months or at least a year, I guess. So hopefully in time we'll get a Hyperloop here in Newfoundland. But when it comes down to food sustainability, basically we can grow our own. 10,000 acres is enough to feed basically every Newfoundlander, following the practice of the urban farmer, Curtis Stone, out of, I believe it's Kelowna, Kelowna. Yeah, I think it's Kelowna, out of BC. He farms basically started off a third of an acre, and he was making $75,000 off it, just growing local produce, selling it to the local restaurants and customers. Now he's producing on like over a couple acres of land, and he's making like 250, $300,000. So it's doable for us to have basically 5,000 farmers farm an acre, 2 acres, and provide enough food for all of us on an acre of land using these new practices, we'll say, methods that we can grow enough food for 60 to 100 people. So it's easy enough that we can supply our own food on the island. And then we can have systems put up in Labrador. I mean, the price of food up there is crazy. Why we do not have a building facilities built up there for hydroponics, growing 365 days a year, providing healthy local food. That's what we need to be doing. We need to be getting those communities off the diesel generators and have a wind systems installed. And again, on every individual home. Each person, each home should have their own power. The technology is here. I can buy a system now anywhere from two to $5,000 from China, have it shipped over for another 1,000, 2,000, customs another 1,000, install for 2,000. So for $10,000, I can have a system on my home, and in time I will. I will install it myself. I'm an electronics technician, ex-Navy. Actually, I served in the Canadian Navy for 6 years as a weapons technician, and in the Australian Navy as a electronics weapons technician for 4 years. I worked offshore in the oil and gas industry, ROV, remotely operated vehicle technician, pilot tech. Um, so easy to install it, but of course the government's going to put in all of these systems and rules and regulations stating that only qualified electricians can now install a solar low voltage power system. Well, if you want to listen to them, sure, go ahead. But no, you don't have to, right? This is my house. I'll put on my system, and when I need it connected to the meter, then I'll call a qualified electrician to do their jobs. Actually, it'll be disconnecting the wires because it will not require to be connected to the grid any longer. And this is what government don't want. They don't want their citizens disconnected from the grid because then we're taking back our power. So there's actually InPower.com is something that I want you guys to look at. And basically, it's talking about smart meters. And if you don't want the smart meter on your house, get it off your house. This is how we're going to do it. You know, we can't have these people forcing things upon us that we don't want, that can actually hurt us, damage us. The microwaves from these items. Homes are catching on fire because of these things. They're burning up. So, you know, and then they'll go say, oh, well, our meter is not this meter. If it's a digital meter, get it off your house. You need analog meters. Eventually, get solar panel, wind hybrid system on your homes and then disconnect from the grid totally. You know, just have a switch that you need to turn it on. If for some reason your system is down and you need power, well, there you go. It's there. But other than that, shut it down. Or you connect to net metering, and basically what happens is that any excess power that you create, you will get credit for anywhere from a couple $100, maybe 1,000, depending on how much wattage you create and you put back onto the grid. Or if you create excess power before the end of the year, you can tap into it and reuse it, and you're still basically paying nothing. So there's Net Metering NL, which is a website, or NL.ca, which is a website that I set up to start gathering names of people that want to have a system for net metering hooked up. We can help you assist with that. So, yeah, so that's kind of my thing. I want to put out a few ideas, get some response, see what we want to do. You know, why do we stand up? Why do we take time out of our own personal lives to stand up and fight these people? You know, I'm capable of doing it. The thing is, do I really want to do it? Do people want me to do it? Do other people want to do it? You know, we have to basically support one another. I can go on my own. I don't need anyone's permission. I never asked anybody for anything with regards to if I should or shouldn't, because I'm following my heart. I'm following my mind. I'm following what other people are saying. I'm hearing all the people complain. All I see the suffering. I've been through it myself. Life is an experience. Everything is experience. At one time, I was basically living in the street. I was living in a homeless shelter in Edmonton. I made my way offshore, made lots of money, started up companies, and now I'm continuing on doing those things. You know, I'm not a money guy, although I'm always searching for ways to make money because money is a tool. And when you don't have the tools and the resources, you can't do the things that you want to do. You cannot be passionate about life. You know, and that's all that we want. Let's have this heaven on earth to have the ability to follow our passions. As long as their passions are positive and bringing good to the world and bringing good to yourself and others, well then yes, follow that. That's what life is about. That's why we're here. We're not here to pay taxes and allow these friggin', I won't say, but we won't allow these people to ruin our lives. They're destroying us. They're taking away our lives. They're not making it better. I mean, how many tax every year is a different tax come up? Tax, tax, tax. I as a natural born person. Now, this is something you need to also learn. You look at your driver's license, and you'll see on your driver's license. Well, maybe I got mine. Well, maybe I shouldn't show it. It's all capital letters. This is the artificial you. This is not you. See, my ID is not me. My ID is a card that the government gives out to represent the artificial you. So when you go to court and you go there, you either go there thinking that you represent this person, but you actually don't. You represent yourself as a natural person. And as a natural person, I was naturally born on this planet in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. At the time, it was Newfoundland. So you didn't have any knowledge that you were going to be forced into a citizenship with the country of Canada. Now, most people think that the country of Canada is the actual country. But if you go to the Securities Exchange in the US, sec.org, I believe it is, or .com, you will see that, and you go under filings and you type in Canada, you'll see that Canada is listed as a corporation, foreign government. We've been paying the U.S. basically $4 billion, 4 point something billion dollars in taxes, I guess. Everyone needs taxes. Why are we paying taxes to the U.S. as a company? So look at it. Canada is actually Turtle Island. And the laws of the land are admiralty laws, which are laws that were supposed to be used for on the sea. But they're forcing those laws onto the land, and then they're making up new laws as they go. So you're basically, unbeknownst to you, were forced into citizenship because they told your parents to fill out the birth certificate. And when you filled it out, they sent it into government. Then government sends out a card, basically your artificial you, just so that they can register you, so that later on they can give you a social insurance number, so then you can start paying taxes into this system that is supposed to be supporting the people. But they don't. They only support the manufacturers and the corporations in their own personal greed, as we all see. So that's something we need to look into. Basically, we all should become world citizens. So go to worldcitizen.org, fill out and get your passport, get your certificates, so then you can travel anywhere in the world basically on this passport. You're representing the world as a citizen. You're not part of a country or a group or an organization as such. You are who you are. You are the human that's on this planet Earth that is here to basically rise ourselves up so that we become better people. And when the time comes, when we leave this world, we'll have that experience, and then we'll either go through it again or will be lifted up into a higher dimension. I won't go into too much about the spiritual side of things, but just on a personal note, I'm an RC, Roman Catholic by birth, or by, you know, but I'm more of a spiritual person, um, because I see higher than just a religion. As far as I'm concerned, religion is a man-made organization for the controlling the populations. Uh, Throughout history, has just been religions creates more wars than anything else. For something that's supposed to be so peaceful and loving and do unto others good, well, religion don't seem to keep the world's peace. Um, and again, when that religion is not suited for someone, they go to war. You know, my religion is better than your religion. Um, you know, there's extremists. So there's extremists in the Catholic or Christian religions, and there's extremists in the Muslim religion. You know, if the Muslim religion says, well, if you cannot become a Muslim, we're going to kill you. Well, and that's extremists. You know, why would you kill me because I didn't want to be your religion? You know, because I don't want to follow your faith. Why can't I just be myself? Why can't you just be yourself? You know, if you want to change your mindset to think and have this faith in something that may not even be true, you know, you actually had to think about these things, because in the Catholic religion, you know, basically they're saying life doesn't go beyond 6,000 years, you know. Well, evidence is out there. There's civilizations being discovered that are 10, 12, 15,000 years old. And now they are even thinking that the Egyptians go back to 25,000 years. So it all depends on how you educate yourself. You're not going to see a lot of this stuff in your school system. They're not going to teach you this stuff. They're not going to tell you that the Queen's Road is a free road and you have a right to travel it without being harassed, stopped, paying insurance fees and driver's licenses and all these things. You know, we didn't have all those things 100 years ago. How is it that we have them today? You know, it's not protecting me by having a license, by driving down the road and paying $140 for them, and then, you know, you're 10 kilometers over the speed limit, then he gives you a $400 fine. You know, I mean, these guys are just manipulative of a system, and he uses fear to control you. So that's something you have to have confidence in yourself. We have to build up the confidence in yourself. That's something that's lacking in school too, building confidence up in our children, our abilities to do things. So, yeah, okay. So I've been here a half an hour. So I put out a few points and a few thoughts. And if you guys, please, if you want to share this, share it. If you want to make comments, suggestions, hey, if you want to complain about it, please do. I'm open. Um, you know, I'm not here to take away anyone's voice. I'm just sharing my voice and, you know, a direction of things that we should be doing and moving forward. As far as I'm concerned, Newfoundland is basically an unpolished emerald in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, surrounded by pristine forests, uh, with basically loving and kind, caring people that would basically take the shirt off your back to help you. This is the type of people most of us are, you know. And hey, if I had $1,000 to send out to somebody now to help them, especially down in the tropics with all the destruction, hey, if I could afford to basically get on a plane and fly down there and help build, I'd do that. But, you know, I'm here doing this now. I'm here doing my things. I'm here trying to build up opportunities around me. Now, some of the opportunities, we're looking at the fishing industry. I have basically a North Atlantic Gold, which is a company we just started up. We have tailings from an old copper gold mine, and I just passed a bucket through the gold cube, and we got some good results, test results from that. So we're going to send that in to get analysis done and see how we go. Our first analysis, we already had basically 1.2 grams per ton. So, I mean, these guys are hard rock mining doing this stuff. We're just sucking it off the seafloor, and it's like, so. And then there's graphite. This here can be a huge, huge industry in Newfoundland. And we're looking at starting the first graphite mines, hopefully here in Baie Verte Peninsula. We got some investors seriously looking at this now. And with graphite, some of the things that we could do with graphite. Now, graphite is basically your pencil lid. So back in 2010, there was a couple of guys that got the Nobel Peace Prize. Basically, you took a pencil lid and Scotch tape, and you took the Scotch tape and you just put it around a pencil lid, and you kept doing this. And every time that you peeled the Scotch tape apart, it was peeling a layer of the graphite apart. And he got it down to the nanoparticle, which is called graphene. Now, graphene is basically 10 times stronger than steel. It's conductive. So there's a guy, if you can look this up, Dr. Robert Murray Smith. I've been in talks with him. He may be a scientific advisor for us. But he has been doing a lot of research into graphene. Actually, the UK government funded $1 billion into this industry to kickstart it, to find out what's out there. Well, Dr. Robert Murray Smith has been doing some research. Basically, takes the graphite, makes graphene out of it, exfoliates it, makes graphene out of it. He takes the graphene and he makes it into a paint. Now, this paint, it could be basically a spray paint. You spray it on any surface and it becomes a collector. It collects energy from the sun. You can paint it on the wall. So in his garage, you'll see the videos, he takes one sheet of drywall. I think it's 9 because his ceilings are fairly high. His building is probably 20 by 30, 10-foot ceilings. So he takes one sheet of drywall, he puts down 2 copper strips of copper tape down the outside, and he puts 2 down the middle. Then he takes masking tape and he goes up every 2 inches up the wall, and he paints the whole wall with 25 mils of paint, 25 milliliters of paint. He paints this drywall sheet. He then takes a temperature controller, puts in the middle of the wall, and it goes over to a temperature controller that's on the wall, and he takes the leads that are on the bottom of the wall, the copper strips, and he ties them together, and he brings them up to the controller. The controller, then he just plugs it into his receptacle on the wall. Amazing. Now we have a paint-on radiator. So you can paint your radiator onto your wall. It uses less electricity than an 1800-watt heater, but it puts out more heat. So to heat up this whole garage, it's amazing. So this stuff, graphene, paint, and then basically another thing he did, he took a sheet of photocopper paper, 500 sheets. He painted both sides of this paper with the graphene paint, graphite paint, graphene paint, and then he puts it back into a pack, wires it up, throws it into a scooter. He gets 100 kilometers on that pack of paper that was charged, and it takes him basically 20 seconds to 2 minutes to recharge it, and bang, he's got another 100 kilometers. This is technology is amazing. This is the stuff that's going to be used in the future. We're estimating 100 million ton of ore on the Beaver Peninsula of this graphite. So, it's a huge opportunity. It's going to create jobs in the future. Hopefully in 2 to 3 years, we'll see how things go. After this, we'll have more information in maybe November, December. And, so next year we're hoping to do a drilling program. We're going to drill some cores, get some good results. We're actually getting some good results now as it is, so it's pretty exciting stuff. So this graphene paint, graphene solar collectors, graphene paint on radiators, we can impregnate the pavement with this graphene. And basically what happens is that the sun would heat it up, it will collect the energy, and then it's a natural, basically snow melting system. So now we don't have to plow the roads can melt the snow themselves, the sidewalks. This is the stuff that I'm looking at doing. Getting our roads with a snow melt system, getting all the sidewalks. One of the biggest complaints in the city, St. John's and Corner Brook, is the sidewalks, and people slipping, and the kids are walking out in the roads because the city can't plow the sidewalks good enough. I mean, it's totally useless what some of these people are at. I mean, they don't have a brain between their 2 ears to think about the possibilities and the things that needs to be done for our citizens to make their lives better. But they can sure vote up themselves a pay raise and put an extra few dollars in their pockets quick enough. So it's time for all of this to end. The way that these people get on, it's deplorable. I mean, it's just a family business. You got family members here, you got family members there, you got cousins here, you got cousins there. They're all mixed together. You got positions in, we'll say, the FFAW. They're not even elected officials. They're put in there by a few of the individuals within the group, and they're not elected. They push themselves in there. You know, it's crazy. So later on, I'm going to tell you about the fishery and the mismanagement and the corruption that goes on there. You know, the stories that I hear from the fishermen, from the union members themselves, and from just, yeah, it's deplorable what's happening, and it's just all lies. These guys just come out and lies, directly lie to your face, and because they think that the people can't do anything, you know, well, they're wrong. The people will do something, and we're going to do it. You know, if it's me, well, then it's me. If it's someone else, I hope it is, because we need somebody doing this. Um, so, what else? So yeah, so there's graphene. That's something that is, could be a new industry. Now another industry that I started up a few years ago is the birch sap. Basically, we're collecting birch sap from birch trees. We're creating wine here locally. We now are selling produce to a company in the U.S. and to Poland, and we're expanding those operations. Now, if we look at the maple industry in Quebec or Ontario, basically the maple industry is a $400 to $500 million industry. Just making maple syrup and sugars, and so it basically has 3 to 5 thousand farmers. It employs anywhere from 30 to 40 thousand people in that industry. We can have a similar thing with birch sap. Here in Newfoundland, we have 57,000 hectares of birch stands. It's uh, it's a lot of sap that can be collected. Now, birch sap is a health drink beverage. Basically, we need to get children. That's the reason why I started it up. We need to get children off soda pops and these sweetened juices. We need to get them something that's pure, natural, full of vitamins and minerals, amino acids, etc. Not like vitamin water. Vitamin water is not water soluble. So the vitamins, the so-called vitamins that they put into it, just flush through your body. So it's the sugar that gives you the energy that hypes you up. It's not the actual vitamins. The vitamins are not water soluble, so your body doesn't absorb them. So it's a good marketing. I mean, they sold Glycel, which is the company that made vitamin water. Coca-Cola purchased them back a few years ago, and it was $4 billion. So that's what I was looking at. Hey, why don't we create the health drink, and we build it up, and then we sell it. It's going to be worth billions. So the industry in Newfoundland can be, but again, because of the politicians, because of the people in government, I've been dealing with them for 10, 15 years now. I know the ins and outs. I knows how it's being run. I knows how I was treated and mistreated. So now I'm speaking up again about it. It's just deplorable what's happening. I actually tried running for the NDP twice, and it came back to me that if I did run, it would affect funding to my company. So then I had to withdraw. So that came from the PC government at the time, because they were the ones that were in power. So in the last two elections, I wanted to really run as an independent, but I couldn't do it because I didn't have the finances and I didn't have the backing or the understanding or the knowledge. But now I still don't have that stuff to a degree, but it doesn't mean that I can't. It doesn't mean that it will not happen. It doesn't mean that the support is not there, because the support is there, just that we need somebody to start stepping up and taking responsibility, other than, we're on Facebook chatting and complaining about it all the time. And yes, there are people that are out there protesting, and thank God for that, because if they weren't there, nobody would know anything. But the problem we have in Newfoundland is that I think it was only 55% of the population voted in the last election, so 43% of the population don't vote. And you don't vote because they either know that the government is full of corruption, or that the people that are running are not representative of what they want for Newfoundland or for themselves or for their families. Um, I mean, that's just, I guess that's something we had to look at. I mean, not everyone is going to like me. You know, sometimes I don't even like myself. So, but that's it. We got to stand up and change things because change is good. Most people don't like change. When you get comfortable in something, yes. But then what happens? You're comfortable, and then these rules, regulations, laws come down, and then you become uncomfortable because now you can't afford the extra $40, $50 on top of another fee, or you can't afford to buy the same food that you were buying before because the price has gone up. Um, it's crazy. So we need to do more. We need as far as I'm concerned, we need full sustainability, food sustainability, power sustainability, um, on for Newfoundland and Labrador. There's no reason why we can't have it. 500,000 people, 500,000 people, folks. That's all that lives in Newfoundland and Labrador, 518. But they're saying it's going to go down to 470 something in another 5 or 10 years or whatever, right? Um, so if the people that are here now cannot support Newfoundland, how do we expect to do it in the future when we got more taxes, less income, really? We got less opportunities. I don't see the government creating jobs. Now, if there's a job for anybody, um, e-commerce. So basically, the world is going digital. You should already know this. I mean, you look at the retail stores. If you're not buying online from China, as I do, you're basically wasting money. You're throwing your money away. Now, yes, I feel bad I'm not buying stuff here, but at the same time, I'm not going to pay something that someone else bought for $1. Well, I'll give you an example. Wiper blades. I can buy wiper blades in China for $1. Same as Canadian Tire does, but they probably get them for 10 cents. And then when you go to Canadian Tire or any retail store for that matter to buy a set of wiper blades, you're looking at 15, 20, 35, $40. Well, I'm buying Bosch wiper blades from China that are still on my truck for almost a year and a half now, and I got them for $1. You know, so one of my ideas, I started up a site called Mr. Blades. Now, when it gets time, hopefully I'll get that completed. But basically, sell wiper blades, $10 each. You know, you're saving money, and deliver to your home. You don't even have to go out and get them. Ultimately, the idea was to set up a membership so that you would have a new set of blades come every twice a year. And if that's something you guys are interested in, hey, let me know. Mr. Blades all the way. Yeah. And same thing with, yeah, anything. So basically, create your Amazon store. Now, I'm with a group called Marketplace Superheroes. And their philosophy is you get 5 products from China, you buy them for, a couple of bucks, and you set up 5 stores, 5 global stores. So basically one in Canada, UK, US, Germany, France, Australia, pick 5 countries. And you sell your products for those products that will make a net profit of $5 each. And if you sold them once a day, you're basically creating an income of $625, I think it is, a day, or $18,000 a month. So all the products that are out there in the world, millions and millions of products. Why don't we take a few 100,000 Newfoundlanders and Labradorians and teach them? Actually, we don't have to teach them. I can show you exactly what to do. The program's out there. You just got to do the work, and then you set up the store. And next thing you know, you're creating wealth from home. So this e-commerce, in the next 5 to 10 years, they figures there's going to be, I think, 120,000 jobs that will be displaced by the artificial intelligence. So all of these white-collar jobs are going to be lost. So if you're a white-collar worker, the future is looking dim. If you're a blue-collar worker, uh, your life is already pretty much dim. And if you're on EI or welfare, that is crazy. Anyone on social assistance, what we call welfare, social assistance, $629 a month, I think, is what they make. If you're on top EI, you'll make almost $2,000, which is pretty good for somebody. If you don't have bills and stuff. Obviously we got food and you got your power, you got your internet, you got a cell phone, you get a cell phone bill. If you got an automobile, you got your insurance and gas and all that. So $2,000 doesn't go very far. So that's something else we need to have here. I think is a base income. Um, Everyone should have a base income of, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000 a month. But in order to get that, you have to do community service. We all have to do our part. Maybe put in 3 to 8 hours a week. You know, doing things within your community. So let's say, for example, we build these community greenhouses. So we need somebody to go in there and pick the leaves off the tomatoes once in a while, or pick the tomatoes even, right? Cut off the lettuce, packaging, those type of things. You know, Cleaning up the ditches. Just cutting grass, just beautification of our communities. Help install a solar system. These are the types of things that we need to do, all of us together, so that we can have a better life for ourselves, for our families, and for our communities. And when we do this, it creates a better life around us, because we're able to have more, and then we're able to share more. We're able to give. We are the wealthiest people in the world. You know, North America, Canada, Newfoundland, we are the wealthiest people in the world. It's just that we do not get the wealth. The wealth goes to the corporations who steals it and takes it from us. So all the oil that's been developed and captured offshore now, we get 5%, maybe, I think 5 to 7%. So if Husky makes let's say 100 billion, we'll get 5. So our oil, they get 100 billion, we take 5 of that for ourselves. It just doesn't seem right, and especially when we invested in that too, you know. And we get a few jobs, but the jobs are not forever, as we already know. You see that oil within the next 5-10 years, oil production is going to drop that much drastically, because manufactured car companies are now going to electric batteries. And for some of you guys that don't know this, the electric car was built before the petrol car, but because the petrol car, the oil companies couldn't make money off it, they destroyed it. And they did the same thing back in the 80s. I think it was Ford that made 100 or 200 electric cars, and a couple of them got out, and then basically the oil companies bought them up and destroyed them. So I mean, this is how much greed and corruption goes on in these organizations, just to protect themselves. Even the sheik over in Qatar or somewhere, they'll do anything to protect their oil. So they'll go to war. Why would they go to war? They'll use lots of oil. That's the same thing what happened in World War II. We went to war for profit. We had these major companies, the U.S., Russia, Germany, France, Australia, even Canada, makes weapons. If we stop making weapons, we stop having wars. There'd be no need for it. We're making all these handguns and pistols, and kids are shooting themselves. Well, if you stop making them, they're not going to shoot themselves. It's going to be harder, right? I mean, you can go online now and order a printed 3D machine gun, or buy your printer and make your own. But it's ease of access. These people are selling weapons to kill people and for profit. That's it. It's not for safety. They want war, and they're going to create war. Look at Trump now. I mean, Korea. They're always back and forth. Yeah, okay, but now they're gone a bit too far. I mean, who knows? I'm sure the president of North Korea doesn't want to start a nuclear war, but the U.S. is ready. They want one. They definitely want one. And the FEMA camps that they have all built underground in the USA, there's a couple facilities in Canada too, apparently. But people don't know about these things. They hold tens of thousands of people, and it's either for their own protection when they go to nuclear war, or it's for prison camps to take the people that are standing up and speaking. They're trying to create class wars. They're trying to create a war against whites and blacks. They're trying to create a war against men and women. They're trying to create a war against religions. I mean, this is all they do. They just try to agitate people to enough where they'll go and pick up a gun and shoot someone because they don't have the mental capacity to understand that these guys are doing these things. You have to understand that you got to have peace of mind and peace of heart, and then we wouldn't need to go to war. We'd be able to talk and have a conversation. It may be loud, boisterous, like I am sometimes, but at the same time, you know, it's not killing someone. It's not taking someone's life. So there's many things that need to be done, said, and yeah, we'll see where it goes. So I've been here for almost an hour, so I'm going to sign off. I just want to say, anybody that does listen to this, if you feel a connection, reach out. I got a couple ideas. One of my ideas, I guess, for raising money, we'll say for the independents, is to start a membership site, maybe $20 each or something a month to hopefully get something going. To support. We need to support ourselves in order for this to happen. So again, if you are a person, an independent person that wants to make change in Newfoundland and Labrador, and you want to run for your position as an independent representative to represent the people, then contact me. I started a list. I got 20 odd people on the list now. You know, some are sure, some are already started. They're already out there. They got their signs posted. We're coming. So we might as well get ready for it. We're going to, I think what we may do is do the same thing that they did in Caledonia, and have our municipalities come together and hold a vote to see if the people in those communities wants an independent representative. There's no reason why we cannot do that. Right? This is a democracy. So we will have a, we'll say, unofficial vote, you know, just to see what the numbers are before in 2018. So that will give us some kind of idea and direction of where we can take things. And again, you know, as an individual, you have to follow your individual selves, your mind, your heart, and what you feel around you, what your community needs. And if you can do and bring something like that and make your community better, well, then you should be running, because the people that are there now are not. I mean, just my MHA, I went to see them 3 weeks ago, and I'm still waiting for them to send me some information with regards to grants and funding that the government has for people, communities, so that we can help my community. You know, I keep passing information on to my mayors and to the town office. These are projects. These are things that you're working on. These are things we're doing. Now, some of the things they're looking at, which is great. Some other things like net metering that we need to work on. We want to get them off the grid. First thing you do is get your municipality off the grid. Save yourself taxes. You save and reduce your taxes, then we can take that additional money and put it towards another project. So we need to bring jobs back to our smaller communities, not for us citizens to leave our homes and our province to go away to build up someone else's wealth. Because that's all I've done my whole life, is work for someone else to build up their wealth. You know, and what do I get out of it? Not 1 cent, not one red penny. We don't even have pennies anymore, so they couldn't even give me a penny. So, yeah. So if you got pennies, keep them. They might be valuable one day. I got a few thousand or something. But if you, maybe we'll have another call next week. We'll see how this video goes. If you guys respond to it, well, yes, we'll do it. And if not, maybe we'll have to look at things differently. But other than that, have a good Sunday night, evening. Enjoy your week ahead. And hey, speak up. Share your voice. Don't be afraid. Get online. Internet. Video is the best thing out there for getting your message out. Email your MHA. Email the premier. Actually, I have a list of all of them. Send me the list, or send me an email. I'll send you the whole list. I send emails to them all the time. My complaints, my suggestions, my issues, and you know, I think I had 5 replies back out of
50 emails that I sent them. So, but hey, they're gonna read them. Someone's reading them, and really, I don't care. I just send them. It's up to them. We're just going to continue doing what we're doing. We're not waiting on them. That's for sure. All right. Love you all. God bless. Thanks.